Hey guys, John here from Adapted to Win, and this is our first episode that we're doing. And what we're covering right now are the 9 ways to deal with the stress, anxiety, and fear that we're all feeling because of the COVID-19 pandemic. So stick around because that's what I'm going to be covering in this episode. All right, before we dive in today, I just want to take a minute in order to acknowledge that, if you're feeling that anxiety, stress, or fear right now, that is 100% normal. We have this fight, flight, freeze DNA that comes from thousands of years ago where we might have been chased by a lion or another type of predator, and those types of feelings that our bodies naturally come and just experience were designed in order to keep us safe. Obviously, the world has changed quite a bit since then, but we still have those feelings, and they still are very powerful. So how do we deal with them in a healthy way? And that's why what I want to do is cover today the 9 ways to deal with that anxiety, stress, and fear that I found helpful in kind of these very turbulent times that we live in because of the COVID-19 pandemic that we're experiencing right now. So the first thing that has really helped me is just to let go of things that we don't control. There's a common phrase of "it is what it is." And this just really addresses that there's a lot of portions of this pandemic that we have no control over, whether it's the economy crashing or you losing your job or, how many ventilators may or may not be at a hospital near you. There's a lot of these things that we just have absolutely zero control over, and acknowledging that it's okay. Certain parts of our life we just can't control. And this is recognized by a lot of different world religions. The thing that comes top of my mind for this is the Serenity Prayer, which says, "God grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference." And this is really good to also recognize that there are certain aspects of the current situation that we can influence. And right now, what that looks like is social distancing and properly washing our hands and the other things that we're supposed to be doing in order to flatten that curve. We do have power over that, and so we should be doing everything that we can for the things that we can influence and really just let go of the things that we have no control over. Number 2 is to just simply breathe. A lot of times when your mind starts to race, one of the hardest things to do is to just take that pause in order to breathe. One of the breathing techniques that I really enjoy that works well for me is something called box breathing. It's very simple. All you do is you bring your breath in for 4 seconds, hold it for 4 seconds, and then release for 4 seconds, and then hold the bottom of that release for 4 seconds. It takes about a grand total of 15 to 16 seconds, and I always feel in a much better mind space afterwards. I will say probably one of the most challenging portions of this breathing practice is remembering to take that pause. But when I do, I always feel better afterwards, and it's something super simple to do that you can do almost anywhere. Number 3 is to get good sleep. We all know that we should be getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep, despite what we see in the news and other headlines about these hard chargers that only sleep 2 or 4 hours a night. The vast majority of us need 7 to 9 hours in order to function well for our brain and our body. If we don't get that sleep, this anxiety, stress, and fear that we feel goes from 0 to overwhelming very fast because we're not getting that recharge that we need. Number 4 is to exercise. Exercise is super important. You probably know that it's very good for your mind and also for your body. In fact, according to some studies, just thinking about exercise can help your muscles, which to me it just is crazy how powerful that is. I really recommend getting some of the real thing rather than just thinking about it, but it has a big impact on your body and also on your mind. There's a lot of different exercises out there. You should do what fits well for you in this current moment. So for me, for example, right now I'm working through a lower back issue, and so because of that, I'm not weightlifting, which is one of the things I normally really enjoy in order to help build muscles, and that's okay. Instead, I'm doing yoga in order to kind of increase my flexibility and also to calm my mind a little bit. I'm running as well, along with just taking some walks in order to enjoy nature. So there's a lot of different things that you can do for exercise. Pick what works best for you, and in the moment right now. One of my favorite videos that is online right now is Julie Marie's Couch to Confidence yoga series. It's on Amazon Prime. I'll put a link to it down in the show notes. So if you're a Prime member, it's 100% free. So that's one great resource. There's a bunch of other great resources out there as well, where you can get free online classes that you can do from home. You don't even really need a whole lot of equipment. You can do body weight exercises. There's all kinds of things that you can do depending on where you're at right now. Number 5 is journaling. This is something that I started a couple of years ago, and I have a kind of a journaling routine. I use something very simple like this, just a simple journal. It doesn't have to be anything complicated. It takes me about 5 minutes. What I start out with is 3 things that I'm thankful for, and that can be anything from something very small, like the delicious brats that I had the other day from my favorite butcher shop that thankfully is still open, to something really big, like being thankful that my kids are still safe and healthy. Having those thoughts and really processing and focusing on things that we can be grateful for helps tremendously to recognize what we do have right now, especially with what's going on with COVID-19 and how our world has been turned upside down in a lot of other ways. Once I do that, I also move on to 3 things that I want to accomplish for the day. And I do this because, like a lot of people out there, I've got a to-do list that's, 100 miles long. I really want to just focus on 3 things that are going to have a big impact on my day today, so that way I can get those done. And I know that if I accomplish those 3 things, that I'm going to have an amazing day, that I've accomplished what I needed to for the day. So that's why I just stick to 3 things. Next, I looked at a daily affirmation, and I started this because normally I'm very hard on myself, and always trying to work on something, and realizing that I have a lot of work to do in some different areas, as we all do. And this daily affirmation just really helped me give myself more empathy and understanding, and be easier on myself by going through this process. Felt very woo-woo at first. It took a while before I felt more comfortable with it, but once I did, I really saw a lot of benefits out of it as far as kind of resetting my mental state. And then next, I look at 3 great things that happened yesterday. And usually this can be things that were on my list in order to accomplish, or it can be something that was just amazing that happened yesterday that wasn't planned, that just happened out of the blue. And so I can write that down there as well. And it's great to see those things and recognize the things that you have accomplished. And then I finish up with one thing that I could have done better yesterday. And I do this in order to reflect on changes that I can make in order to make my life better and get rid of those things that aren't working for me. Right now, I've been really focused on, rather than adding more things to my to-do list, of reducing or eliminating things that I'm just not super excited about. And I was working on this even before COVID-19 started, and one thing that I noticed was I was going to a lot of events that was taking up a lot of time and energy that I just wasn't super excited about, wasn't very important in the grand scheme of things. And so I really started to cut those back and saw great benefits of reducing the things that I was trying to do rather than adding one more thing to my to-do list. And that definitely helped bring down kind of my stress and anxiety, especially with adding all the turmoil that we have going on right now with the coronavirus. So number 6 is magnesium. And magnesium is one of these things that's really awesome for helping calm your muscles and your body, lowering blood pressure. And the reality of it is that the vast majority of us do not get enough magnesium. And the reason for that is because back in the day, we used to get magnesium from the water. But nowadays, with city water and water softeners, that magnesium is filtered out because it used to cause magnesium calcification and cause problems with like soap lathering and other things. But the problem is that our body needs that magnesium. Especially if you're on a standard American diet, your body needs about 54 milligrams of magnesium in order to process 1 gram of sugar or starch. And so you're going to need a lot of magnesium. Now, in keto, maybe you don't need, your body's not using as much magnesium, but you still should be getting about 400 to 800 milligrams of magnesium a day. Again, if you're keto, there's some great food sources out there that you can get magnesium from. Almonds, avocados, oily fish like sardines are great sources of magnesium. But even with those, it can be really hard to hit that 400 to 800 milligrams of magnesium that we really need. And that's why I I do use a magnesium supplement on a fairly regular basis. This is one of the few supplements that I do use. And it can be kind of confusing because there's a lot of different types of magnesium supplements out there. I use magnesium glycinate because it's the most bioavailable, or your body's able to process it the easiest and absorb it. And it's also not going to have some of the other detrimental or stomach issue effects that some of the other types of magnesium have out there. Again, I aim for about 400 to 800 milligrams a day. I use this brand right here. It's from a company called Rhyme, and they have a particular blend called Triple Calm that I really enjoy. I think works really well. I'll put a link down to that in the show notes so you can find it on Amazon because I really do enjoy this, and this is something that I use on a regular basis. So moving on to number 7, meditation. This is one of those things that I think really helps kind of put us in the right mind space and gives us a little bit of perspective in order to see what's going on in our thought processes, so that way we can decide how we respond to things. There's a bunch of different apps that are free and other paid apps out there that are really great. I enjoy Waking Up by Sam Harris. I use the free version. It's about a 10-minute meditation, and it's really focused on being conscious and how we react and respond to what's happening in our life right now, which with COVID-19, obviously, there's a lot of things happening out there, and a lot of them are very stressful and cause a lot of anxiety and those types of feelings, and it really allows us to just kind of pump the brakes a little bit to analyze what's happening with that so we can choose how we respond to it. I also like Insight Timer is another free app. We use that quite a bit. Our kids enjoy it, and they use it before bed, where there's a bedtime meditation specifically. There's one called Dolphin and another one called Walking in the Woods that they really enjoy in order to go to sleep better. And then there's a bunch of other free ones as well. I'll link to the Waking Up by Sam Harris and then also the Insight Timer app down in the show notes so you can find those easier. Number 8 is to talk to a friend. You know, it sounds simple, but this is one of those things that really has helped me a lot over the last 6 months or so, you know, as life gets crazy and busy and stressful and all those types of things. Something as simply as calling up a friend and just really talking out what you're struggling with. I'm an out loud thinker, so as much as this drives my wife nuts, being able to talk about things out loud, even if I don't make a final decision, really helps me process and get those ideas and concerns out of my head, and also gets feedback from somebody else. Now, I will say one word of caution is if you have that friend out there that, you know, either they cause a lot of drama or they just happen to be a magnet for drama, probably don't want to use that person as your person to talk to, because it's not going to be beneficial for you, and it's probably not going to be beneficial for them either. Also, I would add is whoever's on your contact list, in order to kind of talk things out with, that you'd be open to being talking to them, connecting with you and talking about what they're struggling with as well. So that way it's a beneficial process for both of you. And then finally, wrapping up with number 9, I think this one's a really big one, and I really want to foot stomp it here, and that is get professional help if you need it. You know, some of the most successful people in the world get professional help on all kinds of things all the time. Why should we be any different? I put together a list of some good resources that I'll put down in the show notes. A lot of them are free or pretty low cost, especially with what's going on right now with COVID-19 and all the stress and anxiety and fear around, you know, the economy and people losing their job and getting sick and those types of things. It's really important to identify that there's a lot of good resources out there that, like I said, are either free or pretty low cost. So I'll put those down in the show notes so that way you can access them, or maybe you know somebody that needs those types of resources. Please feel free to pass those on as well. So just to recap real quickly, kind of the 9 ways that's really helped me deal with the anxiety, stress, and fear because of everything that's going on right now with COVID-19. First was to let go of the things that we just can't control. Second was to take a second to breathe. Third was to get good sleep. Fourth was to exercise. Fifth was journaling. Number 6 was the magnesium that we talked about. 7 was to meditate. 8 was to talk to a friend. And then 9 was to get professional help if you need it. Now, one final thought is that I've given you 9 different kind of strategies to deal with everything that's going on right now. You don't have to do them all at once. I would start with 1 or 2 that you think might work best for you. Try it out for a week or 2, see how you feel. If it's working for you, great. Leave me a comment, send me a note. I'd love to get that type of feedback. If it's not working for you, try something else until you find something that does work for you, because I think that there's a lot of great benefits in finding some way to deal with all the stress and anxiety that's happening right now. So I just want to share this with you because I think it's super important. It's been very helpful for me. Thank you for watching this video. If you have any questions, leave them down in the show notes. I read all the comments down there, and I'll be answering your questions there. So leave your comments down there. Additionally, if you like this video, you want to see more like it, we're going to be creating a bunch of these videos in order to help you out. Hit that subscribe button so you're one of the first one that's going to be notified when these videos come out. And until next time, stay safe and stay healthy.